We'll stand for the pledge. Call this meeting to order.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, folks. We have a public hearing to close the VCDP grant.
So, like Mr. Richards says, this is the closing public hearing for the VCDP grant. This grant was the largest funder for the town hall rehabilitation project that has been going on for 4 years now, maybe 5.
It seems.
Yeah, it's taken a long time. As part of this, I just wanted to give, I don't think there's any standard or way to actually do this, but I just wanted to give an overview of what the project did, and then where the money came from, and then where we're going from here. So to start, we'll go way back to 2009. This project, which included the elevator, was brought to USDA way back then. This isn't a new project. This isn't something that just popped up. This is something that the town reached out to years ago to see if they could reactivate the second floor. In 2018, the Board of Selectmen were asked, hey, what are your priorities? And, sorry, I just got buzzed. This must be Jason. And Town Hall was one of their priorities. Okay, I got Jason calling me. Hang on. Sorry, guys. Hey, Jason. All right, let me see what I can do. Okay, Jason is saying he can't get in. While I tinker with this, I will continue to talk. So 2018, the board decided town hall, among a few other projects, was a priority for the town. Oh, I did have an extra program open. So we started moving forward with that project, with this project, the town hall project. The board approved back then $100,000 in grant match. I think it's important to note that that $100,000 was earmarked to replace the furnace. That's all that money was going to do. You're going to get a new furnace for $100,000, right? What we did, moving forward up until today, we turned Fairhaven's $100,000 into almost $1 million. This project, all total, was $947,000. It wasn't just the elevator to nowhere. This was an elevator that reactivated the second floor. It added 2 ADA bathrooms upstairs. It did replace the furnace, which we had that money for. We improved the outside. We did some mitigation on the walls. We added carpet. We added paint. We added transaction windows to make the place that much safer. This wasn't just the elevator to nowhere. This project has brought this building back to life. Your historic building built in 1861 that was crumbling is now moving forward and being put back together the way it should be. To make use of this space, not only this year, not only next year, but for Fairhaven residents in 20 years from now, in 30 years from now. In 30 years, that elevator, people will be, they won't even think that there's anything. It will always have been there for them, and they will always be able to use the second floor because of what we've done today, thinking forward. And using $100,000, it was only going to go towards putting in a furnace, now rehab the entire building.
Do you have Jason?
I'm sorry?
Do you have
No.
Jason?
No. So that's my spiel on that one, if there are any questions.
We should wait for Jason.
There he is. Jason, can you hear us now? Hello, Jason.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Ah,
Yes, we
great.
can, Jason.
How are you doing?
All right, great.
All right, so what do you officially have to do to close this out as far as after the history lesson?
Oh, this is it. We just had to hold a public hearing.
Okay. So, of those funds, of those VCDP funds, which, refresh my memory, what does that exactly stand for?
VCDP is the Vermont Community Development Program.
Right.
It's a block grant that comes through the Fed to the state.
Okay, can you just give us a quick overview of what they gave us and how we use, or
Sure.
what we use and what's still here, and then we'll call.
Yep, so the VCDP funds, they provided $450,000 to the town. And I can give you a rundown of all of the funders. VCDP did 450. Cultural facilities gave us 16, almost 17,000, 16,900. USDA, who was our original funder, gave us 50,000. The town of Fairhaven put in 100,000. ARPA funds were at 80,000. And then there was a federal appropriation of 250,000. What's remaining is, we just had a change order come in for some electrical. There's anywhere between 20 and 30 left. I have to pay a bill to see where we sit.
Okay.
20 and 30,000 left. So after 5 years and all of the, doing this through COVID, all of the random inspections that happened, all the reporting, we're gonna land this plane right on budget.
Sprinkler systems,
Oh, yeah, the sprinkler system,
which
the
are
building is sprinkled.
huge into an old building like this, and the costs.
Any questions from the board? From the public?
So, two things. The second floor, weren't we having to put more support in for the second floor? I had heard that the support for originally the support for the second floor was not viable, that you guys were gonna have to put more.
There was the fire department, was there stuff up here too?
So that was, so the
I-
short,
that
the
was
short,
part-
the short answer is yes, we had to do some support work, not for this project. We had a fire truck back into one of the support columns 5 years ago,
Right.
and we had to get that support column replaced, and they put a steel beam across to support the wood beam that was there.
Okay, my second question is, so what's up there now? I mean, what's up there and what are we gonna use it for?
Right now, you fill me in where I'm wrong, but right now, the fire department has their rooms up there and a kitchen. There's 2 bathrooms up there. There are 1, 2, 3 old classrooms, is that right? 3 or 4?
Actually 2 right now.
2?
Yeah.
We took
Okay.
one out to make that.
Okay. There's still there's a little bit of fire department storage in the main room above us now, but they cleaned out a lot, and so we gotta find room for their storage stuff there. Then we're gonna open, that whole room will be open, and we can have meetings up there, and we can have,
These meetings?
I don't know if we'll do this meeting, it doesn't seem necessary there, we don't usually get the crowd, but certainly town meetings and any large public meetings in hearings and things that we could possibly have.
So will we be having the pre-town meeting up there this year?
Not this year. It's not ready yet.
It's
We
too
need
close.
heat pumps, we need heat, and
Yeah, we got,
there's a MERP grant that's out there that if we get that, it'll make it possible to go and finish, so you can meet up there.
We probably have a MERP expert somewhere in the building that can help us.
there will be ongoing, there will be, rotating probably displays of historical society stuff in the main room and in a hallway, and then they have a room. So the hallway is rather large, And between the fire department and all their historical stuff and the Fairhaven Historical Society, there's room to put a lot of that stuff out to be displayed. And all the walls, we kind of envision all the walls in the large room, the auditorium, for lack of a better term, to be decorated with historical articles as well.
Is it an auditorium? Does it have a stage?
No, that's probably a,
It's more like a gym basketball court.
yeah, it's just a large room. And, a question you have?
What is the status upstairs? I know that it's not ready yet, but my understanding is that the electrical system is the old Nobbin tube up there. Has the state electrical inspector been out yet, given any recommendations or guidelines to do that with the electric?
I'll
Because that's
do
an
that.
expansive room up there.
There's,
Like,
I know there isn't Namatube in the new bathrooms, but I'm guessing that there isn't any there, any place we're utilizing.
It was knob and tube that's been replaced. The electrical inspector has approved all construction.
Upstairs
Yes.
for the gym area as well?
Yes.
That's been replaced?
Yes.
Thank you.
But
How much more asbestos abatement needs to be done upstairs? Because as you walk by, because some nights the lights are left on upstairs, you can still see that there is drywall that needs to be finished.
none.
Zero.
There's room for a lot of cleaning and organizing upstairs, and then things will look considerably better at
Well,
that
the only reason
point.
why I ask is because asbestos abatement can be very, very pricey, as you guys well
Yeah.
have learned.
I think we caught that, and we got caught, whatever you wanna call it. But the building has been gone through. So. Any other questions? Okay. Then we're gonna close this public hearing and start again with the regular meeting. If everybody's okay, Mike Stannard is going to give us an ash tree survey.
So, I'm gonna read my report, and then we'll do questions. I think it's clear and concise, and I'll try to be quick. So on November 30th, the Stafford Technical Center Forestry and Natural Resources Program came to Fairhaven. And the goal on the request from Joe was to do the Vermont Urban and Community Forest Rapid Roadside Ash Tree Survey. If you don't know why someone would want to be doing that, there's an invasive species making its way to every single town in New England and the Northeast in the next decade. It's absolutely inevitable and it's terrible, but it's happening. And they're going to kill probably over 90% of the trees in deep forest situations, roadside, streets, front lawns. It doesn't matter, they don't care. It's really,
Just ash trees.
Emerald
Yeah,
ash borer.
they focus on green ash, white ash, black ash trees, and, you know, those species being incredibly prevalent in Vermont forests, it's just absolutely inevitable. So, in the forestry world, everyone knows this, but your average person that has 5 ash trees in their backyard might have never heard of it, or, you know, they saw something in a pamphlet at the fair and they don't really realize what they're dealing with. And in all reality, in the forestry world, it's always terrible to lose a lot of beautiful trees, but it's also an opportunity, if you know anything about how forestry works, it puts light on the forest floor, and you're gonna have every big tree is gonna have 150 small trees growing under it. So like, what do we do with that? It can be made into a positive, since it's inevitable anyway. However, without going into a science lesson, the real issue is any one of these trees could cause damage to a power line. or a building or a child getting on a school bus, injuries, or prevent a rescue or fire vehicle from getting to a business or a resident's home when they succumb to the wrath of the emerald ash borer. So my students and I, with the help of our curriculum integrationist, Jack Adams, also a Fairhaven resident, we did a rundown of what we saw, because what we found is that it was a really rudimentary thing. I think they wanted to be like really user-friendly so people would want to do it. The spreadsheet was really basic, it was almost hard to use, especially with 13 students on a short bus for 3 hours, I will know. You wouldn't believe this, but a couple of them lost their concentration. You wouldn't believe it.
Imagine that.
So, I tried to put the findings and really break them down. So I gave you a spreadsheet and then another graph. The graph is basically this rudimentary spreadsheet broken down, and I couldn't do it in color because, as I said, I got back at 4 o'clock and didn't have access to the color printer. But I did give Joe, I'm going to share this document with it and you can print it out in color. You can tell which is which anyway. Usually the good condition at this point is the tallest bar on the graph. So I'll give you, basically I'm going to give you good news, bad news, and then prioritize recommendations. But before I do that, I really wanted to thank the people that helped out with this when we were here. It's amazing what people will do when they know young people are coming to learn something and become part of how things work. So special thanks to the town clerk, Danny Roberts, for her talk with the students on town government, voting, elections, and a little bit of history. Although they were quiet and a few of them didn't say much, a lot of them are history buffs, even a little bit history buffs. And they got a lot from it and still have been talking about it. So thanks to town manager Joe Gunther. He entrusted us with the project and having the forethought to see that it is important to prevent these problems and emergencies in the future. And he gave a little pep talk about his beginnings as a diesel mechanic, his work in West Africa, and the importance of technical education in municipal government and the country in general. And it was great to have TJ Cavino discuss his recent background in technical education, which prepared him for his roustabout position in the Department of Public Works. And lastly, Jim Heller, who allowed our students to weigh themselves and our bus at the dump. And it was a whopping 10,580 pounds. So I thought that was kind of cool. The kids, I think 30 years from now, that's what they're gonna remember. Hopefully they can tell an ash tree without its leaves. So I'd like to quickly go down through the information so I can get back to my wife's homemade chicken parmesan. What do we got here? So the good news, the survey did not include Scotch Hill or Swamp Road because I think they're gonna be high volume, but knowing the woods there, I don't think they're gonna be that high compared to anything else that I'm giving as priorities. There were no trees of any concern near the firehouse and rescue-related buildings, which is good. So I've got 2 firefighters on the bus with us, and they were like it was really important to them that we know that wasn't a problem. The great majority of trees are not yet affected by emerald ash borer or any other disease such as the yellows fungus, which has killed a lot of ash trees already in Vermont in the last 20 years or so. There's another piece of good news, there's a biannual injection that can prevent the invasion of emerald ash borer in trees that are important culturally or to your family. You know, it's your favorite tree, you sit under the picnic table. If we could spread the word to people in town that have an ash tree, whether it's in the right of way or not, that's an option. It really is, and it's pretty cost effective. It's biannual. It's nothing my students and I can do yet, but I'm looking into it. We learned about it on our visit to Paul Smith College, and they said it's 100% effective. I think there's other ways you can do it that involve pesticides on the ground. I don't recommend that because I think I'd be a hypocrite with my involvement in trying to keep pesticides out of bombazine to promote that. So the injection is the way to go. There is a, oh, so the injection, and I'm gonna get to this later, but a tree like the ash tree right by the dugouts that all of the girls hang out under during softball practice for 30 years at the Mary Canfield softball field, that's an ash tree. And so that is, it's my recommendation that that one is the one that we do it on. If we only do it on one tree, that would be the one, because, you know, you can plant a new shade tree and 30 years from now but like that's like the most perfect shade tree ever. If you've ever watched a ball game there or coached someone there, it's a perfect tree. That would be my first recommendation. The other, is there any good news? That's the end of the good news. So I hope that
Could have
was good
spread,
enough.
could have stretched that out a little bit if you.
Okay, so Bulger Road and Sheldon Road have very high density of ash trees, probably not like you'd find in Tinmouth or a lot of the more like halfway up the mountain towns, but they're pretty high density. We had a total of 164 trees in town, not including Swamp Road, not including Scotch Hill, and you know, the majority of them are on these two roads. Bulger Road being the most dense and probably the most important of those two to prioritize. So the Boulder Road and Sheldon Road will likely have ash trees in the next 10 years that will affect the town right of way and travel, including fire and rescue vehicles, utility infrastructure, people trying to get to work, etc. Next on the bad news would be that the graded school parking lot and driveway are probably a close third for density per distance of these potentially difficult trees. And then the other bad news is that the emerald ash borer will degrade even the high number of trees in good condition in the next decade. So it takes about 3 years before it's not in good condition, and then it's in bad condition 7 to 10 years. It's going to happen. It's in towns surrounding us. It has to be dealt with. So priorities, decide if any of these trees are significant enough to save with injections and discuss possibilities with residents who have vested interest. Remove, possibly after a discussion with Green Mountain Power, the ash trees near the graded school parking lot and driveway. Develop a plan for removal on Bulger Road and Sheldon Road. And along with that, call and discuss roadside removal in high density areas with a guy named Dave Dentz. He actually had the same position as me at the school in Bennington for many years. He retired and went on to operate a really unique piece of equipment that can scissor trees from a ground control up to 100 feet and remove them safely and quickly. He quoted recently the town of Tinmouth, who has, you ready for this? 5,000 trees. He quoted them about $5,000 per mile, and they have about 15 miles of this high density stuff like we have on Sheldon Road and Bulger Road. So this might all sound like bad news, but if you're in Tinmouth, maybe even Middletown, Joe, it's probably worse. I would recommend that the town consider this and possible sale of the firewood and how that would work. I don't know if they're just gonna leave it roadside at 8-foot length or what they do, but you might be able to work out something with someone where you remove trucking and some labor from it, and they would purchase the firewood. I might even know some people in the business. The other thing is, his phone number is listed right there. so you can have that. And from what I hear, he feels everyone's pain on this and really probably has the only workable, economically viable solution to the problem. My bet is other people will in Vermont as this goes on. So, if you hear I retired early, you'll know what happened. Last but not least, discuss problem trees with sighted residents. So, one of the things you'll notice when you look at the actual spreadsheet we did, I didn't want to bore you by reading the whole thing, but I think it's the blue one for most of these, is we tried to really just make it simple. There's 20 trees, they're in this condition, and they're on, you know, we even listed, I think, some addresses between which you might find them on River Street, Cemetery Street. We might have listed specific trees. There's one in mind that's the perfect example of what I'm talking about. It's a big, beautiful, old, ancient ash on private property by the looks of it on the dump road, Fairhaven Ave or whatever it is now. And it's, you know, it's a 90-foot tree and it's 60 feet from the road and it's, you know, Russian roulette which way it's going to land. That's one of these trees where talk to the people about doing injections, talk to them about having it removed. I don't really know the legal implications with that kind of a thing where it's definitely a threat to the right of way, but I'm just giving my recommendation. You talk to them sooner than later and get the ball rolling. And then, last but not least, my recommendation would be to remove medium to poor quality trees that are listed on the survey ASAP, especially the ones in town. You know, I gave special priority to the elementary school, but any other tree. A lot of them are on private property, but will affect the right of way and maybe even power lines, including whether or not the wetland behind Dollar General and the company that owns them is still in their name, which I believe it is. There's multiple trees there that are problem trees. For Cottage Street, the driveway, which is called like Route 69 or something weird like that. It's a state route. I don't know if anyone knows that, but the driveway to the backside of the elementary school is listed as like state route something, which I didn't realize. Whatever the name is, I'd never heard of it before. So that property, you know, like wherever the town property line borders that property of Dollar General, there's quite a few trees wrapping around that angle there that will be a problem. So Green Mountain Power has a power line on that side of the road running to the school from the substation.
Do you know if they have any programs that they're doing privately?
I don't. I would imagine they have people working on preparation for this also.
I don't think so.
At Green Mountain Power, you're dealing with Jared Wilcox, classmate of mine at Paul Smith. And at Velco, it's Jeff DeSorda. But I don't think we have any Velco. I think even the stuff going up 22A is all Jared Wilcox is the forestry department at Green Mountain Power. I'm sure they're planning for this, and I'm sure they have a plan for trees that are on private property that can affect them. I don't know what to tell you about the ones that are on private property that could affect the town right away. My brother's the tree warden, maybe he can answer the question.
How's this injection program work?
So apparently it works really well.
Really? What's that entail?
I don't know that it's much of a program. I think it's a pesticide that you inject straight into the tree so it doesn't end up in your groundwater or anything. Because it's carried up into the tree.
What do they drill a hole?
Yeah, I believe so. Just under the bark of any deciduous trees, the cambium layer, and it has xylem and phloem. And during the growing season, the xylem are carrying things up, And if you inject something in there from probably May to, you know, September, it's gonna go up. Probably do it early in the year, and it just prevents them from boring in.
No, okay.
You gotta get through the cambium layer to get into the rest of the trees, so.
So the bottom line is, if it's an ash tree, it's in trouble no matter what. Yeah, I mean, I think, didn't Rutland cut all their ash trees at some point?
They're working on it. The city forester there is way ahead of the game on this
Yeah.
because they have a forestry department,
Yeah.
right? So if they're not dealing with storm damage and they're not up in the city forest, they can be down there. Hey, let's have Tuesday be an ash tree removal day. And
So that's what they're doing, okay.
they're way ahead of the game. I don't know about 100%, but pretty close.
So the problem is that there are crucial trees to get rid of right now, but eventually the trees that are good enough will become bad and will need to go as well.
Yeah, I would say
People
in
have
the
to
next
understand
decade.
that. Yeah,
So you can look at them and imagine them as having dead 5-inch branches and being dead wood all the way down to the base in the next decade that'll blow over in a storm.
yeah.
And our storms are increasingly powerful. Yeah. We get 33 with 3-inch snowstorms for trees that are big, so. Priority would be save culturally important trees. The one at the dugout, I would say, is important. And then next on the list would be Sheldon Road and Boulder Road, at least start thinking about a plan to bring to the taxpayers. And then last but not least would be to talk to residents about their trees. And remove the ones that are in poor damage now. And they should be fairly well listed on the survey, at least better than they have it on this. There was no location or anything on this, so.
Questions? Mr. Stannard? Jason? What was it?
The injection, how much does it cost?
I don't know.
General,
I was talking to a college professor when I learned about it, so like, they don't think about how much it costs, they're just teaching it, you know. I think my students asked him that, and he was like, I'll get back to you, but.
the second thing is, so what you're proposing is you're going to cut down the trees that are currently healthy? Just because they're
Yeah.
going to get,
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
because they're healthy?
So you're getting, all those trees that are gonna come up under them are just gonna have a jump start on the problem. So you're gonna have 10-year-old trees that are healthy right about the time the other towns are thinking about why are all these trees falling.
Okay. The trees
They're
that are
gonna
coming up
go.
are,
The Germans, when they plan their forest management, they're 700 years ahead. In America, we're about 70. We're catching up.
so the trees that are coming up, are those ash trees as well? Or are
There
those
will
like-
be some, yeah. On people's lawns it won't be, you know, it'll be whatever they decide to do.
Are the ash trees going to go extinct?
No, but it'll be pretty darn close. It'll be like American chestnuts. So the blight never reached Vermont with the chestnuts. So you still find them once in a while. And they're actually starting to regenerate more and more. But if the blight ever made it here, it'd be totally wiped out.
So you're going to, if we got rid of the ash trees, then the Emerald Ash Board doesn't have anything to feed on, which would then
Yeah,
make them go away.
there'll be population booms and busts. But 15 years down the road, when there's thousands of 15-year-old ash trees, there'll be a boom and they'll be gone and you'll be dealing with them.
It's like Dutch elm.
Yeah.
You don't see any big elms anymore. You don't see any, they get about that big and then they die. Mm.
So, you know, get some of those beautiful complex leaves that are on them and press them and put them up in your house to show the grandkids, because they'll be gone. For the most part. So unfortunately, it's a inconvenient truth, I guess you could call it. Deal with it now, or deal with it when the ambulance is on the way to your house.
Yeah.
Or Joe's trying to get back to, from the town meeting. Remember the night that there was one in the road?
At my house, yeah. Yeah. That's kind of a great thing. A tree falls on my house and everybody shows up and cuts it up. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. And Jim Heller was sweeping up all the scrap. But,
I got more.
that's my story.
Thanks.
Thank you for, I mean,
Thanks.
at least showing us, getting an
Yeah.
idea of how
At least-
big the problem is.
Yeah.
And the devil's in the detail on how to,
I don't think you want to call in a regular tree service or 20 to do this. I think the only way to do it is the kind of thing that he's the only guy I know of. There could be other people that do. Could be somebody in Washington County, but I don't know. But you could talk to him about it and at least get an understanding of what it is.
Thank you. I
good,
think.
thank you.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Take care.
Come again. Thanks. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, well, he's gonna come again when next budget season, when we start thinking about this. Okay. Maggie O'Brien, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
So I have some handouts, if you take one and pass them along. I only printed 5, enough for each select board member, but I can always provide more for those of you who don't receive a copy. So just to reiterate, Maggie O'Brien, I am a regional planner with the Rutland Regional Planning Commission. And fun fact, I actually live here in town, so also a proud representative. So I'm here today, and hopefully I'll only take 5 minutes of your time, maybe 10, depending on if there are questions. But I'm here to talk about, I'm here to talk about the update to our regional plan, which is a huge initiative we've launched recently. And the whole idea behind this is that we are looking to get the input of the community at large. So every 8 years, like a municipal plan, Regional Planning Commission has to update the regional plan. And this is per Vermont statute, so it's a requirement for one thing. But our regional plan, I don't know if you guys have actually seen that version or not. Yeah, it's really old. And the data is terribly outdated, and they could really use a facelift and get more with the current times. So we're gonna wipe the slate clean, start over. And it's going to be a huge endeavor. It's going to be at least 2 years of work. So right now, we are engaging the public to help us with the development of the plan. The kickoff for the engagement was in late 2023, in November. And we are asking, we as an organization are asking the select board and others in Fairhaven to ensure that the priorities we put into our plan reflect the needs of the residents. So the idea of the regional plan, we want it to be a collective vision for the future of our region. We want it to be not something that's passive and sitting on a shelf, but something that is created as a living document. We want it to be a collaborative guide to help shape a healthy, equitable, and resilient region. That is our vision statement. And with that, it will still have the functions of a regular plan, right? It will still guide where homes and businesses go. It'll protect our natural resources and ensure that our community remains a wonderful place to work, play, and live. The final document will outline strategies for achieving collective goals within this realm, particularly towards community economic development. And if you're wondering what community economic development is, it's basically economic development with the aspect of community involvement and balancing environmental, social, and economic priorities. So with our community engagement strategy, which we kicked off in November, as I mentioned, we decided to meet people where they are. We know life in the 21st century is very busy. We know that if you put out a notice about a public meeting, that people aren't likely to come. So we're taking the strategy of, there's a community event going on, like let's say, I don't know, a potluck. we're going to show up at that event and have a pop-up table and have materials and get people talking and interested about what we're doing and kind of explain, like we're looking for your input to help shape our plan and have them, put some dots on a graph to say like, these are my priorities that I want reflected in the plan. To make it more informal and more engaging. So that's one of our prongs to the strategy, which, by the way, if anyone is aware of any community events coming up in the next month or two in Fairhaven, please let us know, because we haven't been able to find one that we could pop up at, and we'd love to be able to do something in this town. So the second prong to our strategy, we have community houses that we're hosting. There's going to be 5 of them across the region. The one closest to here is going to be in Castleton on March 2nd. There's some others. I think the next closest is Middletown. And the dates of those are on our website, which I will talk about the website in a minute. And those are going to be more of a formal Q&A type session, more like a public meeting, I guess you could say. And the last prong to our strategy, we have a community survey. It's about 20-25 minutes to complete, and it allows for a broad range of answers, more descriptive answers than perhaps you could get out of a 5-minute conversation at a table. So just making sure that we cover all of our bases and people get a chance to, really explain their thoughts and what they envision for the future for this region. So I am here to ask the select board to help spread the word about the survey and our engagement effort in general. The survey is open right now and it will close on March 31st. And as an incentive for completing the survey, you can enter your email address at the end of the form into a raffle for a solo stove bonfire, smokeless. Very nice. At least a couple $100s. So we have a QR code that people can scan with their phone if they want to be taken directly to the page. We also have a website that has kind of a story map explaining what the regional plan is, what our engagement efforts are, and then the survey itself. That website is www.rutland.rpc.org/plan2026. The website, incidentally, also has the dates of the community houses, of which events will be popping up at and so forth, so you can stay up to date on that as we're updating that frequently. So to wrap up, really the whole point of this is to get an idea from the grassroots level about what we want Rutland to look like over the next 8 years, what we envision the future for this region being in the year 2034. And you're probably thinking at this point, okay, that sounds nice in theory, but why should I personally care about it? Well, that's a fair question. I would say that it allows, at least for your everyday resident, it allows your voice, values, and concerns to be addressed in a cohesive blueprint focused on how we grow, develop infrastructure, and enhance our region for a vibrant, prosperous future. In fact, I would even argue that short of casting a ballot on election day, it's the best way your voice is going to be heard about issues that affect you personally. And they will be reflected by our plan, which we will develop around, the most common needs and desires of the region. So if you have any questions in general or want to learn more, we do have a email inbox set up. That's plan2026@rutlandrpc.org. We also accept comments by physical mail at our P.O. Box 430 in Rutland. But that's all I have, unless there are any questions, and thank you again for letting me speak tonight.
Just a comment. 2 weeks ago, I got an email on that, took the survey. By the way, I gave them my email address because I want that little smart. No. But 20 minutes is about the right time there. It doesn't take that long. It's a good little survey.
Is there a way to get the survey offline, in print? There's a lot of people in Fairhaven that do not have email, don't have computers.
That makes sense. I'm sure that there's a way. I would have to go back to my boss and see what we can do, but I'm sure there's a way that we could provide like a physical copy that could be printed. Yes.
If you could.
We can leave it here.
Or a suggestion when you have your table set up at the meeting and your events, bring printed copies and they'll just fill them out while they're there and give them to you. I mean, they're for the non-email. I think there's a way.
But it closes
March
It
30,
closes soon,
March 31st.
March 31st,
Oh,
there's
March
still a little bit of time.
so we could have some at town meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a good point, thank you. And that's definitely something we want to keep on our radar because accessibility is important to resilience and equity, so.
Because there's a lot of people in my circle of friends that just don't have a computer,
Right.
Good point. That's a good- very good.
including both my sisters.
But, yeah, I mean, we're working on our town plan just as well, at the same time that you're working the regional plan, so that's kinda nice. See if we-
That was a question I was gonna have, actually, was, will the regional plan conflict with the help we're getting from the regional, from Logan particularly?
I don't see why it would conflict. Could you clarify what you mean by that?
Well, I'm just worried that the concentration for Rutland Regional will be on their regional plan
Oh,
and we'll
understood.
lose.
No,
we'll lose-
no, it's been made clear from the beginning that while this is a priority, it's to be balanced with our regular work. And we will certainly keep our tabs on municipal plans that need to be updated, local hazard mitigation plans and so forth.
I'll hold you to that.
All right.
I will say, the regional plan is archaic.
Yes.
And one of the things, there was a kind of a knee-jerk reaction the last time around they wrote, and they completely forbade wind towers in the regional plan that is there now. So I will be making a more formal objection to that idea.
Yes, please do. I come from an environmental background myself, and I wasn't here when they updated the plan last, but my.
Well, it was a
Yes.
it was a political thing, and there was,
Yes.
they were in a very obvious place, and they were very large.
And not in
and-
my backyard, yeah.
Yeah, and it hit home for a lot of people, and so that's how that came about, so. But things have changed. That's one of the, we're gonna be energy self-reliant, we will need wind towers of some sort. But that's one thing, I shouldn't waste your time on that at this meeting. Any other questions, anybody?
Do we have any events coming up that the planning commission?
Glad you asked. March 2nd is the Meet the Candidates Day at 1 o'clock at the library.
Meet the candidates, 1 o'clock. That's the same day as the Castleton open house, ooh.
Right.
I see the
Bring us-
importance of getting as many responses from Fairhaven residents as
Yes.
possible.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm sure, like, there's only gonna be 5, maybe 6 of us at an open house, and our team is 12 people, so we can probably get at least a couple to show up at the pop-up that day.
Okay.
Or at least get us some more of these PowerPoint?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I will follow up with Joe, I believe would be the most appropriate contact. I will forward a copy of what I gave you in the packet form tonight, as well as additional flyers, kind of elaborating on the engagement effort that I dropped off here at the town office a couple of weeks ago.
Good.
How about sending all the residents a survey in the mail? You may get some back.
That might have been talked about. I wasn't on the admin team for the engagement. That's an interesting point. I'll have to ask and see what happened to that, but that could definitely be a viable method as well.
Thank you.
All right, yeah,
Thank you.
Come anytime, we're always here on Tuesdays, it seems.
It seems like it's true.
All right, we're already up to amendments to the agenda. So, anything?
I do have one. Can we add an executive session for personnel under VSA 313A3, please?
313A,
3.
A3.
I'll make a motion that we add under executive session for personnel, VSA 313A3.
There a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
thank you. All right, approval of the minutes for January 4th, 1st.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of January 4th as written.
Second? Anybody? Anybody? I'll try again. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you. Additions, deletions, corrections?
I'm good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Same thing again for January 9th.
Motion to approve the minutes from January 9th as written.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Same questions? Additions, deletions, corrections? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Abstain.
You weren't there?
I wasn't here.
Good.
Oh,
Thank you.
for the 9th you were asking?
For the 9th, I was absent.
Okay, 5 minutes for public comment. Go ahead.
I want to acknowledge that they have been keeping the crosswalk at the corner clear. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
So I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Lillian Billowitz, and Jason, I'm going to give a handout to Mr. Gunter for you because you're not here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I'd like to give to the board and to Mr. Gunter a handout, and I'm not sure if you're already aware of this or not. If it's duplicative, I apologize.
Thank you.
If not, perhaps it will be educational. It's very coincidental tonight that Mr. Gunter spoke of the elevator and the town hall restoration. Because the documents that I just gave you are introductory documents, an introductory issue of what has transpired with the installation of the elevator. What I have given you is, well, this comes on the heels of budget season as well. The budget is tight, money is tight, we need to be very frugal with taxpayers' money. I don't know if the board is aware, but with the assistance of PEG TV, the community and the taxpayers now will become aware. And these documents are readily accessible. That the town of Fairhaven was cited by VOSHA, which is Vermont Occupational Safety and Hazard Administration. The citations that were given were primarily, there were two of them that were given. One of them, this was in October, September, October, November-ish of 23, just gone by. Citation 1 was for $9,375. The second one was $9,375. In other words, the town of Fairhaven received a penalty citation which were deemed serious from VOSHA for $18,750. Those were eventually abated down to $8,375 that the town had to pay in penalties, fines from agencies. The reason being, citation number 1, the controlling employer and the correcting employer. The controlling employer is the town of Fairhaven, and it was signed by town manager, Mr. Joe Gunter. Did not determine the presence, location, quantity of ACM and PACM on the first floor of the municipal building before demolition and construction work was initiated to install, retrofit a new elevator shaft into the structure of the Fairhaven Municipal Building that started in February 2022. And here's the important part why VOSHA got involved. Exposed municipal employees and the subcontracted construction employees to uncontrolled fugitive asbestos fibers in their breathing. Basically, the second one, where I only have 5 minutes, is the same. That Mr. Gunter was aware of the presence of asbestos, failed to notify VMS. VMS got cited in this.
That's not true.
VMS got cited as well by VOSHA, and the long and short of it is the town was cited and it's been abated. And the financial aspect of this will be looked into. And the other part of it is this notice per regulations was to be posted in a prominent position so that the employees who were exposed to this asbestos were aware of it, and the public, but more so employees. And there will be questions and follow-up as to the posting of this and the notification of employees. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mike?
As a town resident, I would like somebody to explain to me how rebuilding a truck with a plow on it is gonna save the town money when the town plows go right to the gate of the sewer or water plant.
So Mike's talking about the retrofit of a used plow on the front of the water plant truck. When I got here, DPW was responsible for seemingly everything to happen in the town. If you needed your plant, water plant plowed, DPW, come on down. Come off the streets and come plow my plant. Sewer plant, come on down. Transfer station, come on down. Town hall, come on down. When I got here, that changed. Right now, the sewer plant plows their own yard, the transfer station takes care of their own space, and now the water plant will be maintaining their own space. Now you're asking, why are we doing this? Because we need our guys, our priority, our DPW priority is the roads. Our main roads downtown near the school, downtown near the businesses, Washington Street, West Street, that's their priority. If I have our guys running up with a wing, mind you, spending even 15 minutes plowing out the water plant, that's 15 minutes that person could have been out doing Bigelow Hill. It could be out on Washington.
You do it
No.
on road anyways, which is, leads right to the water plant. And as far as the plowing goes, I don't care. I'll sit in the truck for 10 minutes and go back and forth. I wanna know why, somebody explain to me how it's gonna save money when with a wing, you gotta go through the gate of the water plant, they swing around, they turn around and drive back out. Why are we spending money on a truck that was never meant to have a plow? I don't have a problem plowing it. Give me a new Ram 2500 that was built with a plow. Why are we rebuilding a truck that is the most basic model that GM puts out there? I mean, we are rebuilding the whole front end to make this plow feasible and usable. I just would like to know how this is gonna save money. There's already a plow truck right there at the gate.
So I could break down the hours. I don't have it on me. But what I'm most concerned with is the safety out there on the streets. It has been, and I understand, Mike, things have changed. We're making our departments do more of their work and DPW does less of the department's work. And that can be frustrating. But this is the way we're moving.
Well, like I said, as far as sitting in the truck and driving back and forth, I'll volunteer to do that anytime. The cost of rebuilding a truck that was not made to plow with is what I'm questioning.
It's not rebuilding a truck, it's a $3,000 frame on the front to accommodate a used plow. New plows cost upwards of $7,000, $8,000. What we're doing is being cost effective, reducing our guys' time out away from our roads and using the staff we have on site to maintain their space.
So even though they're right there at the front gate, they're gonna pick up their plows, turn around and drive back down in the bunker.
Okay. They go right past the transfer station, they go right past wastewater, they go right past here. I shovel the front walk. I could have them come and do that.
I don't see it, but whatever.
So basically, the big truck goes up and turns around in your yard and drives back out.
Yep.
But you got really the whole yard to clean out. And around
Well,
that.
you've been there,
Yeah.
with the wing down, it's one swipe all the way around. And then we use the snow blower to clean up. I'm not saying make a special trip up there with another truck, which has been done in the past, but it's never been the day of the storms. It's a couple days after when they've had time to go around and start, cleaning up there.
As far as I'm concerned, Mike, it's really not in our purview except for the cost of the plow and the frame and all that kind of stuff. But it's a executive decision that's on the town manager. So you guys are gonna have to hash that out, and if you could just give us a basic, Joe, if you could give us a basic cost of what it was gonna cost, cause that's the stuff we can talk about, that's our end of it. And let's see where we go from there.
And like I said, as an employee, I'll do whatever I'm told. This is, as a town resident, why we were spending the money when there's a truck right there.
But do we already have the plow?
Yeah, it's off the old wastewater truck that was sold.
And that was a half-ton truck, but that was on. And basically, you just got a new button, you gotta buy the new push frames, because trucks aren't all compatible with each other.
Correct.
You have to put the push frame in and the controls. I've done that quite a bit. Is that a half-ton you have, or a three-quarter?
The basic model. Like most cars are an SE or a XT or something like that. There's no letters after Sierra. This is the most basic model that the company puts out. And I'm just worried, and I spoke with Joe this morning, and when I say beat on the truck, I don't mean that, we're gonna beat on the truck, but this truck was not built to plow width. So when this starts wearing and tearing on the truck 3-4 years down the road, Bob remembers, and I think Glenn remembers, Tom and I had to get on the floor and beg to get rid of that van.
To get
We really did.
I don't remember that.
But you were good at it because you got the truck.
Yes, after we pretty much refused to go anywhere with the van. But,
I love that, man. I'm sorry?
That a minute mount plow?
I don't know what type of plow
In
it
other
is.
words, you take the plow on and off, you don't have to leave it on all through the season.
I don't know, Mr. Green.
Well, that's kind of important, because you don't want to run these trucks all the time with plows on them. Pickup especially. You plow, you get it off, you don't carry that extra weight. That's what tears the trucks up.
And as I said,
More so than plowing. I mean, you
And
can
then-
plow that yard,
Oh,
if you're careful, that truck will last you for a long, long time. But if you don't, never bother taking the plow off, and you beat it all down through the potholes, back and forth, hundreds of miles with the plow on, hanging out, that's what jeopardizes your front end of your trucks. So, it's easy to come on and easy to plow, it's a different story.
Any other questions? Case?
Thanks, Mark.
We will consider that and see what the cost effectiveness of it is. Anybody else? Okay, we're gonna move on now. Department head reports. Got anything to report, Mike?
yeah. Things are of in limbo, I guess, right now as far as the roof goes. I don't know if you were aware, but it didn't get done in the fall, so we're waiting until spring now, or summer, just so we're not putting a rubber roof membrane on at this weather.
Yeah.
So we still have our leaks. We are in the process of rebuilding / replacing a couple of our pumps on our backwash carriages. They just stopped working, the bearings are gone and stuff like that. Like everything else today, things are made to throw away. You're gonna spend $5,000–6,000 for all the parts to rebuild it, or I just bought one for $8,000 brand new. You know, but, you know, as we're all coming up on budget season, I've got 4 pumps at $8,000 a piece, and that's just 4 of the 12 I've got in the plant. So that's a consideration coming up. And we've been doing very well as far as our water goes. We haven't had any leaks, haven't had any frozen meters, knock on wood. I was a little concerned this past weekend with the really cold weather, but we haven't had any issues. And let's see, our intern, he started his second semester this week, and he's still working out very well. He's doing so well, I've started including him in our weekend rotation. So it's not Jeff and I every other weekend. You know, he's in there, so it's a 3-week rotation, a 3-person rotation. So that's working out well. We've had great luck with our interns, and I know wastewater has too. So I think that's a very, very excellent program to continue. Chemicals, like everything else, are going up. I told Joe, I was like, I just got one delivery of both chemicals, shot $10,000. You know, and they get 3 to 4 deliveries a year. That's not counting the chlorine. So it's, I'm just putting my plugs in for budget.
Planting the seed, yeah.
Exactly. So that's about it. Our electronics upgrade is coming along. I've taken some pictures. I showed Joe, there's a 4x4 box that's going to do the same job as that great big monstrosity that's taking up half of the lab up there. So that's coming along. We've got probably 3/4 of it done, but like everybody else, you know, help and their previous scheduled jobs and everything. So it's taking a little bit longer than what I was anticipating, but it's not because there's any hiccups or anything. It's just their time to get over here, scheduled to get over here.
Painfully aware of that.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, it's not just my issue, or it's everybody's issue. Go anywhere and see help wanted signs.
Yes.
Why didn't the roof get done?
You would have to ask Jake Home why that roof is not
Does
there.
anybody have any idea? I mean,
I think getting the contractors is so much work, you're at,
And plus late in the season, I mean, I haven't talked to Jake and I'm not making excuses, but this really didn't come to light until the fall as far as getting it done.
I remember when you brought it up.
Right, which is kind of the end of the construction season. So he may not have had time trying to finish up the jobs he's had, or
pretty wet,
his
yeah.
summer help may have already been let go. I can't answer.
The roof.
And that's exactly, Glenn hit the nail on the head. It was a wet season, so there were fewer days to work out there on the
To
roofs.
take it all
Yeah.
off.
And then by the time he got over to our project, it had got cold. So I guess, and I'm not a roofer, but laying out big rubber mats in the extreme cold doesn't go real well. So, yeah.
They need some flexibility.
It's kind of a mutual agreement there that we'd wait until spring or warm weather at least. Otherwise, we're just pretty much wasting money putting a rubber membrane roof on this kind of weather.
Any other questions for Mike?
No.
I have one. Are you working tomorrow?
Yes.
I'll see you there after 1 or so.
Absolutely.
I had to come up to talk to you about town plan.
Okay, sure.
Been trying to for a while and I haven't yet.
7 days a week, somebody's there.
Oh, it's you. You get this one.
Oh, me?
Yeah. You get the right.
I will be there.
Okay, thanks. I'll see you then. You.
I'll start with the police. The report was in your mailbox. I'll just hit the highlights. 37 traffic or municipal violations were issued in the last couple weeks. 20 written warnings, 4 parking violations, and we had 3 car crashes. That sounds like a lot for just 2 weeks.
Is that from the store?
It was 3 last time too.
Was there? You were up to 7 this year. Revenue, let's see, this is December. December revenue is $17,029. So the police department's doing their part. From the manager's office, we're still looking for somebody for the open DPW position. We did offer the position to one gentleman here in town. He stopped calling me back. I told him that, we're gonna repost the job Monday, yesterday, at noon if he didn't get in touch with me, and he didn't. So that job is reopened and I have more candidates. Using Indeed, we get a lot better people than just trying to get something out of the paper.
You do have candidates, did you say?
I do. Job's reopened. Oh, the transfer station certificate came back, so we're operating legally now, and the demo pad will be opened on Thursday. Yeah, that's good. Properties for sale. It's too bad the public left. There's a piece of property going up for sale on River Street. This was a tax sale property formerly owned by the Billowitzes. We're talking through that right now. And candidates night is March 2nd, 1 p.m. at the library. Wait, I'm not done. We met with Peter, the gentleman that came and talked about the Skyline building. I met with him and VMS last Monday, sometime last week, to talk about building homes. We have a few lots here in town that are very good candidates for this. So he's working with his architect to kind of draw up some plans. We're going to reach out to the state for the missing middle income program. So this program will provide 33%, I think, of funding to build a home. So $300,000 home can then be sold to somebody for $200,000, and that equity stays with the home. So it's really a unique program. I'm not an expert, so please don't ask me how this works. VCDP. So I did submit that grant. So that grant to bring the Skyline building back online is a VCDP grant, and that was submitted yesterday. River Street property we talked about. We got paid back for some of the vandalism that we had down at the park finally. It was $3,000 worth of damage. We got $2,000 and change back.
Park or the playground?
I'm sorry, playground.
From the insurance or who?
From the insurance.
Okay.
Yep. Lights in the park, that project's still moving forward. Town hall renovation, that's pretty much done. There's a little bit of drywall I need to get upstairs. Finished up. Park fence, Carl Scott continues to paint laps around me.
He's doing a great job.
He's doing a wonderful job. I did manage to get 10 more in this weekend. I grabbed 10 more, but yeah, he's doing a phenomenal job. We'll get that done before the end of February, no doubt about it. I don't know what I was writing there. We did sell one of the properties that the board wanted to sell. We went through a list of things. We sold one, that little bit on Dutton Avenue right at the highway. That's been closed. We've been paid. That's no longer our land. It's
Back on the tax rolls.
Every little bit helps.
Yeah. We only got one bid for that water main project downtown. We're putting that back out to bid. one bid is not nearly enough, and that's a large project. We finalized some FEMA reimbursement. We did get some money back for that. We're waiting on another, I think it's $16,000 for other projects we did. Town Highway 69 had that big culvert put in. Years ago, I think somebody just cut the ends off a fuel tank and put it in there as a culvert. So
I doubt that a bit.
it really didn't support the level of water that we had at the time, so we pulled that out and dropped the culvert in.
And where is that?
That's Town Highway 69.
Where is that?
Off Sheldon?
Across the swamp.
Yeah, up
Yeah.
by Reed, and just goes out
Yeah.
up off Sheldon Road.
And I got a quote to get our .gov email set up. I know this came up a while back, asking, when's that gonna happen? I got a quote back. It's less than $5,000, but, we didn't budget for it. So we're gonna wait and see what the budget looks like when we get a little bit closer to the new budget season. And I'm almost done, guys. I wanted to talk about our budget, just as an update. I'm almost on time. I like to give quarterly updates. I missed the last quarter. For O&O, we're sitting at almost 62% expended. We should be closer to 57%. So we're a few percent higher than we should be. In our, what I call the burn rate, we're burning about 4% every 2 weeks. So that should be down under 4%. So chugging along. We'll have to cut spending a little bit. Water plant, they're in the same boat we are. 63%, should be at 57, almost 58%. Like Mike said, chemicals.
Chemicals
are expensive.
Gotcha.
I have started separating, just to add a little bit here, separated the POs and stuff into smaller categories. So all of the chemicals I've got together. So like at the end of the fiscal year, if anybody wants to see what the water plant spends for chemicals for a year, I can just hand you all the invoices for chemicals, which is caustic, alum, hypochlorite, and then you got your smaller, buffers and stuff and reagents, that type of stuff. But it's more than doubled since I've started, and that's only been 7 years.
For the wastewater plant, they're doing pretty good. They're at 51% total expended. They should be at 57, so they're under budget. And the highway department is actually slightly under budget. Their percentage is a little wonky because we have a $280,000 truck accidentally put into the budget. It shouldn't be there. So, but all of their budget lines are at or below where they should be. So, yeah, things are, considering what we've gone through, things are starting to even out.
Good.
And that's what I got.
Thank you. Don't go away. Road inventory.
Can I just ask a quick question on your old business?
Yeah.
Where are we on the Adams Street Bridge?
We're not. There's nothing going on there.
Well, on the thingy, on this, back in 2018, the prioritized town hall rehabilitation, and the Adams Street Bridge as priorities.
Oh, that, we've been trying.
But
But
$3
there's-
million, we just don't,
We
can't
started
get a
at,
grant? Can't get
we
the money?
started at probably, I don't know what the first guesstimate was, but we're up to $3 to $5 million for that now. We don't have that money, and there's almost no state money to help us with that.
Right, nobody wants to hear it, but myself personally, I don't see the Adams Street Bridge happening. We've gone for federal grants, state grants, and everything else, and the price just keeps going higher and higher in the millions, and I don't
We
see.
can't afford it, the town
I
can't
don't see
afford it.
Adams Street Bridge getting done. I know that's not a popular comment, but
You know,
I was just wondering where we were. It
Well,
reminded me of it, what we
yeah,
were talking about, you know.
we even took it off the, did we take it off? Yeah, we took it off our parking lot to
Because we-
revisit it, because we revisited it, and every time, we're just nowheres. We can't get any help from anybody, and we can't afford to put that in by
Is it
ourselves.
still on the state list?
Oh, yeah,
Does
But-
it, but does that
that doesn't
bridge,
mean anything.
right,
That, being on the state list, they're just telling us it's a bad bridge. They're not saying it's a bad bridge, here's some money. That doesn't happen.
and the list that Rutland Regional Planning sends up to say, here's our top priorities,
Yeah.
we're not there.
We're not there.
And that's,
Major arteries get those, and they keep looping through, so they never get to our side street, which is, it's far more important to us than it is to anybody else in the state, let's put it that
What
way.
about our water system?
we'll
We'll still maintain
we'll
that.
maintain that. There's a lot cheaper maintaining, making sure water and sewer comes across than putting a new bridge in. We have to do that.
Will it, I mean, if that bridge falls down,
It's not gonna, it's just not safe for vehicles at this
Okay.
point.
okay. I'm sorry,
No,
I
it's all
just,
All right.
That would be a real good comment on your survey for the Rutland
There you
Planning
go.
Commission.
Yeah, it's true. Road inventory.
Yes, so this is our annual road inventory. No changes. Munger is still not on there, which I know this is, it's something we wanna do.
Yeah, it's something we decided to do and still hasn't gotten done, and
Yep.
it's been years. I feel like I'm beating my head against that wall sometimes, trying to get something simple, like getting Munger Road's classification back to Class 4 where it belongs.
No, it's not simple.
Hmm?
It's not simple.
No, it's not, but I'm saying it's not simple as the state. I'm still waiting to,
Yeah, well, this
See.
is, I can't blame the state, this is me. What I need to do is prioritize this. There's public hearings we have to have, there's a site visit we have to do, it's not just a matter of saying, yes, this is what this road is now.
Munger Road was never taken away from a Class 4 legitimately anyway.
That's true.
That's why I get so frustrated saying, you're saying it's not simple, reclassifying. It never got properly classified as anything other than a Class 4 road, but somehow mysteriously in 2016, all of a sudden, Montpelier and our plan showed it as a trail instead of a Class 4 road. But I won't spend any more time.
We need a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion to sign our certificate of highway mileage. Would you like to, it shows a total of 36.405 miles.
Second?
Any comments? Only that when I started on this board, it was 27 miles, so I don't know where we got another 10 miles, but we did.
What's the
I think,
name?
well, I'm giving you the state highway of 10,
Yeah.
subtract 10.54 and you'll come pretty close to it, I think.
Okay. I'm glad we got it. I'm sure they're development.
It's the certificate of highway mileage that we sign each year.
That's all.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Mitigation grant application.
All right, so FEMA has cash out right now for, to do road work to mitigate future flooding. I reached out to an engineer, and I reached out to Wilkes Paving, who they do our paving. They have the contract for the next couple of years. The contractor came back for the gold standard for Scotch Hill to get it built up, shoulders, additional culverts, drainage, the whole spiel. They came in at like $4.1 million.
Oh,
That's it. Match on the FEMA grant would be over $1 million to take that grant for the gold standard build, which we just don't have.
hold on just a sec. Hey, Jason?
Yep.
If you're in town tomorrow, there's, the, highway, the, whatever that's called, the highway, what's that called? That we just did.
Certificate of the.
Certificate of mileage is here if you wanna sign it.
Okay, I will take care of that.
Thanks. Okay, I'm sorry.
So I went back to the drawing board. I called Tim over at Wilk, and then we met actually down on Scotch Hill, me and Mr. Greeno, Nate, and a couple other folks to kind of get a sense of what we need to do down there. And we pared back that cost to, I think it was $1.8 million for this grant. Our match would be 25% of that, which I think the total is 400 and something thousand. Let me see if I don't have my sheet in front of me. Yeah, so the engineering cost would be $54,852. Construction cost would be, our match would be $402,254. I guess tonight what I'm asking for is approval to get approval for engineering match of $54,852. And the question is, where's the money coming from?
That's a very good question.
That's,
I'm sure the state's called and said how much they're gonna send us.
yeah, they zero.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what I'm thinking, and you tell me if I'm way off base. So the idea to do Scotch Hill was to use 2 years of paving plus the state grant, the Class 2 grant, to pave Scotch Hill. If we use some of our paving funds to as match now to get the engineering done, or maybe next year when it comes up, then when this grant comes in, we use 2 years of paving, and then the state grant.
That's around 160,000.
The town would be 320,000, the state's 200,000, that puts us up over 500,000 in cash.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So if the total match cost was 457,000, we'd have more than enough. It's a lot of money juggling over fiscal years though. If we decide to do this, it's gonna be a hard way to do it.
The problem is that means nothing else gets touched for 2 years.
For those 2 years.
Yeah, and that's,
I don't think some of our other roads could afford that.
I don't either.
Sheldon Road is gonna be in need of paving.
As bad as Scotch Hill. Scotch Hill needs it. There's no, we gotta come up with a different solution, or we gotta get the state involved.
I really, really do believe, I know everybody wants that road all done at once, but I just don't ever see it happening. I think it's gotta be done in sections.
Yeah.
A section at a time.
So that's possible, but you would still use your whole $180,000 to do this road each year.
Right.
So there would be no more money left for Sheldon.
Yeah, well, could we do a section? Could we do a section on each road each year? Is what I'm saying. So you're getting the worst sections done at a time. You do a worst section, and then you jump. You do another worst section, and you fill in as you get the money.
So what, you can do that. I don't recommend doing that. The way I see this, and I have some paperwork about Scotch Hill sitting in front of me. The way I see this, we can spend $180,000 or $360,000, and we can get $180,000 or $360,000 worth of work. Or we can spend that same amount of money and get $1 million worth of work using federal money. Like we can piecemeal it.
If we get the grant, right?
If we get the grant. But see, if you don't, so we wouldn't not pave. If you don't get the grant, you're still paving, you're still on your schedule. But when that grant comes in, all money goes down and you do it right.
What would the timeline be on this? If we were to move forward, when would we see paving?
FEMA's been moving pretty quick. In the proposal, I said, summer of '25, assuming they get us the funds. It could be later. Can't sugarcoat it.
So we're not looking at 457. We're looking higher. This is today's cost, right?
No, I built in escalation in that.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been burned once. So, to the point of doing it piecemeal, so Jim, because he's very methodical, he keeps track of everything that's been paved since the beginning of time. And Scotch Hill was done. In 2011, we did a little bit. 2012, we did a little bit. 2013, we did a little bit. When I got here in 2018, that road was destroyed. It was already destroyed. So you got a good 5 years out of that road. These roads should be, what, 10, 15 years?
Exactly.
So to just kind of pick at it seems like a waste of cash.
Can I get to the real core of the problem here for just a second?
Hmm.
A lot of times, we go in and pave these roads, they're not prepped for paving. The ditches aren't clean, the shoulders aren't cut, the ditches don't get cleaned, the shoulders don't get cut, the water runs down the middle of the road, freeze thaws, pavement breaks up. You're not getting your longevity out of your payment that you should be because the prep work's not done. Somehow, somebody has gotta get this prep work done, either by contract or in-house forces, but it has to happen. Otherwise, you can put all the payment there you want. It's like putting a pile of money on top of a pile of money. It's not gonna stay until that prep work is done. The drainage, your sun exposure is the most important thing that you can do.
And that's the gold standard. That's $4.1 million.
Which,
We just don't have that money, Mr. Reno.
question, can we, you talked about the possible solution, because where's the money?
Yeah.
And we don't, and when I'm looking at the grant match, that you would need,
Yes.
we can take and move money from paving to grant match without asking voters to okay that?
Well, it's in the budget and it would be used for paving, so it's not, so we've done engineering like on South Main for paving, and we didn't go back to the voters to,
No, I'm just wanna make sure we're not
oh.
doing something we shouldn't be doing, because
No,
like if we had an appropriation that said voter approved paving,
Yeah,
I
That's
would
different.
like to think I couldn't take that money, I'd have to take something else, and,
Yeah.
okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood.
What if, now you say the gold standard, you're talking about a contractor coming in and taking that, replacing the culverts, putting the ditches in, putting the proper base in, and then paving.
yes, everything that needs to be done to maintain that, to build that road correctly. That's the gold standard, was 4.1. And that gets it up, and this project will also raise that road up 4 feet near the swamp. Put culvert underneath that, so that way we're out of the swamp, and then the water can flow like we've been talking about. So I've kind of been tasked with figuring this out, and unless we throw some money at it, there's no way to figure it out.
What is, I'm just trying to get right in my mind that for the last 3 or 4 years, we've been talking about getting a highway grant to get the paving done. Now, aside from this right here, aren't we still one more year down the road? I'd like to think that after a while, even Montpelier will figure it out and give us some class, is it class 2?
Class 2
Paving money. If we got the class 2 paving money, are these numbers still what we need? Or can I deduct?
You could deduct like 50,000 out of that. So class 2 would be 200,000. So it would cover more of the match, and you would have more in your pocket, yes.
Which we can't depend on.
Oh, well, any
But-
more.
So this is all contingent on what grants come through and what.
What money do we have to have up front to even guess on that, the 54?
I think 5284.
So,
Is this a study or is this a,
that's engineering the road.
pardon?
That's engineering the road.
Engineering the road, and so once this engineering of the road is done, it can move on to construction after that.
Yes. I anticipate about if this is awarded in a month or two, I anticipate 8 months worth of engineering, because you know how the state is, with construction moving on to spring or summer next year.
So the money question, see, I understand the economics that says, hey, this is the best way to get the most bang for your buck. Will it get us into next budget season before, so I can, so I can come up with,
We have 180,000 in the budget for this year. We have all of the paving that we haven't done
Yeah, no paving was, we were gonna do the paving in the
in the
spring
spring.
this year, yeah.
right,
So we could probably eke out the 54 fairly easily. It means that we don't do as much paving as we expected to do, 180,000 plus this last year's budget. It's probably doable that way. But
That's, we need to do this, but I envision some very angry folks
Oh.
not seeing paving done around town.
you know,
whether we put off Airport Road, I think 2 years. We gotta
there's
start.
there's another possibility in Airport Road too.
I-
But yes, somebody's ox is always gonna be gored when we start doing paving. It's just the way it is. And that road up on
We need to fix
Sheldon
that.
Road too, Scotch Hill is in horrible shape.
Have we approached like the state parks department on any interest in helping
We are
us out?
going to, again.
Again.
We've
Yeah,
written
we've banged down
letters
a lot
to
of doors.
Mr.
Well-
We've written letters to Mr. Canfield.
I'm getting my hair cut Saturday.
Oh, man, Jake, I'll go too.
Yeah, 4 o'clock, we can have a meeting. And we talk about everything else that's going on in the state, and I am gonna hammer him. And I frankly, he needs to produce, because we can't continually be ignored. And like you said, that's the driveway to the state, to 2 state parks.
Yeah.
The Black Pond and Bombasine. And it's not fair for all those campers to be pounding over the road all summer long, and we pay the price for it. At least they should be at least helping.
See, this is your recommendation.
It is, it's the best thing I have so far. With the FEMA mitigation money coming in, it really opened up a big pot of money for us. Otherwise, we spend our money and we get our money's worth of work. At least this way, we spend our money and get their money's worth of work too.
Jason.
There is some areas on some of these roads that do need paving, and the drainage is not that bad. It wouldn't take a very, very long time for our in-house crew to get them bitches and the shoulders cut. And then we could pave a short section here and there to get us through the humps and bumps of the big picture.
But if we're,
And that would help us show that we're trying to get some paving done. And go this route with Scotch Hill. It's a possibility.
Right, I think we gotta do, trying to look the taxpayer in the eye that lives up on Scotch Hill with the potholes and the shape of that road, which is, we've gotta do something. Jason, any thoughts?
No, I think that the subject has been covered pretty extensively, so.
Okay.
I think that we kind of know what we need to work towards.
Okay. You're looking for a motion?
I would love a motion, yes.
Mike?
I just, you were talking about parts for that road. A lot of what's killing Sheldon Road is those big tractors. Is there anything out there available through the agricultural?
That's a good question.
This is a
Yeah.
good question.
That was a good question.
You know, I mean, you got those tires that wide that are hauling, 50,000 pounds every 20 minutes, half an hour up and down that road.
My question for this is, so if we approve the engineering study, and we anticipate spending paving funds in several years to fix this, this coming year, beyond spring, I guess not a question, but one thing that I'd ask is that we look at the budget and figure out how we can do paving around town and not solely on.
Yeah, well, I think the first 2 years, the first 2 years, before we get to a paving end, we would be doing just the engineering study this summer. So the only thing we're expending is 54,000.
It's kind of like a study in engineering the road.
Right, and then, so our end of it is $54,000 of that, which means either out of the budget pending, the 25 budget, is that what it is, 25 budget, 24 budget? It all runs together after a while.
We're approving the 24-25
Right.
budget in March.
So out of that $180,000, we would be taking 54, or we take 54 out of the budget, the spring before the fiscal year starts. One or the other is gonna lose 54,000, or maybe 25 and 25.
Well, and I get that, and that
Which
makes
might be the
sense,
case.
right? And that leaves us some room for paving, but
Right.
if we're going to save what we intend on setting aside and, for multiple fiscal years to get this project done and raise that additional 400,000, I'd like to leave some more room there for additional paving outside of Scotch Hill. That's a budget discussion for next year.
Yeah, can't wait.
So the time-sensitive nature of this grant, if we're gonna do it, has a time-sensitive timeline. Like, if we don't approve it here,
Right.
we don't apply.
Yeah, and I apologize for that. I was pulling numbers, and then I got the $4 million number, so we had to get more numbers from the paper to see what we could really do. So that's why it's come down to the wire like this. We had to get some decent numbers.
I'll make them, just for the sake of moving on, I'll make a motion that we apply for the mitigation grant, is that what it's called?
Hazard Mitigation Assistance Grant?
The Hazard Mitigation Assistance Grant, and use $54,852.84 to cover the engineering costs from our paving budget.
Perfect.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
I don't see any other way to really do
I
this.
don't either.
Because
I don't know.
Hazard mitigation.
down the road, 20, 30 years from now, we're not gonna have nothing if we don't get started on doing these things right.
We need to do.
I mean, that's a simple fact. And
All-
I don't have to worry about it, probably none of us have to worry about it, but the future people in Fairhaven have to worry about this.
I don't want anybody spitting on my grave. Oh,
I'd like to think I'd have to worry about it.
well, good luck. Good luck. At least 30 years, right? All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All those opposed? I think that was unanimous. Yeah. Thank you.
I got one more that this it tags along with that. If we are going to apply, the board needs to set an authorized agent, and typically that is myself, the town manager. So this is the board approving me as the authorized agent to write and submit this grant. Write, submit, and manage.
I'll make a motion that we have Joe Gunter be the authorized agent for the hazard mitigation grant.
Second.
Everybody understand what we're doing? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Thank you all. That was unanimous as well.
Unanimous as well.
Okay, water and sewer mutual aid agreement.
Yes. So this landed on my desk. This is a mutual aid agreement, very similar to what the DPW has for mutual aid. So in times of a catastrophic event or natural disaster, this is an agreement set up between our town and other towns, just like DPW, to where we can gain assistance from other towns, or provide assistance to other towns. This will make it easier. This sets the limits on what can and can't be done for us and them, and it makes reimbursement from FEMA that much easier.
Standard boilerplate, or should we be reviewing that?
I read it over. It sounds, this is through Rutland Regional, and it sounds very similar to what we did for DPW. We're not committing to anything. We can always say no.
That's the part
And this
I
is just for Bob.
I'll make a motion that we have the select board chair sign the mutual aid agreement for water and sewer with the other towns.
Second?
Everybody understand what we're doing? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Those opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Just out of curiosity, when we had the water line burst, is that a qualifying event? And did we have any mutual aid from other towns?
Did we have Castleton here?
I don't,
We didn't have.
we didn't ask though, I don't think either.
That would have qualified, and we have and do share equipment and people back and forth as needed. So that would have definitely, if we needed people, that would have been a perfect example.
The equipment would have helped. I mean, we could have really used a couple of bigger pumps. Hindsight's 20/20,
Yeah.
Well, now we got an agreement.
Now we have an agreement, we can do that.
but it's something to, keep in the back of your mind for the future.
All right, property tax reduction efforts discussion, setting goals.
So this is something we talked about at the last meeting. And I think it's something that everybody can agree with, that we would like to see our property taxes come down. Except Bob.
Yeah, I want more.
Send your bills to Bob. But I imagine this being a discussion and then a little bit of work on all of our parts to find ways to generate revenue. When I say revenue, I mean bringing, not tax money into the town to be able to bring down our tax rate. So I imagine this being a discussion about how we can bring in that revenue. But today I was hoping we could talk about what that goal looks like for the board. Because it's easy to say we want to lower taxes, but what does that mean? Like a 5% over 2 years, a 10% over 1 year reduction. And that's just kind of what I was thinking. It's, what do you guys think?
But I'm thinking of it as more abstract, I guess, in that I don't know about, sometimes if you set a goal like 5 or 10%, then you artificially work towards that. And I don't think we're there yet. But I think there's that committee that was going, some of the things for revenue, the revenue committee that I don't know if they still meet, or if there's some clever thoughts in there. There really is. And so I'm just wondering if that's something we should reinstitute, or maybe discuss some of those and say, let's try some little steps first, baby steps.
See, I'm saying, I wanna take a big bite, I don't wanna nibble at the edges. I'm looking for, I think you can do both, by the way. There's sort of low-hanging fruit. If you've got some things that we can do, that we can get some additional revenue quickly, fine, I'm all for it. I'd like to see under property tax reduction, the big bite to me is discussion, the 1% option tax again and going forward. That's what I call a big bite. The other one would be, and again, we're just throwing ideas out here, but it's the one like when I like the idea of one time we talked about possibly selling water. And those are where you could actually take and we'd put something together to say that we're going to get so many, we don't have to say what that percentage is, but you're going to get so much per year is going to be generated through this. That can be calculated. If there was a 1% option tax, you can get a pretty good idea of what you can get per year. I believe by looking at other, the three big ones for me was the 1% option tax, possibly selling water, and at the transfer station, can you do something with taking stuff at our landfill? And I know people shake their heads, but I also go a step further. To me, another bigger bite, our wastewater. We're at 65% capacity. What if we did wastewater or sewer for Bombazine through Highville and coming this way? Those are dollars, and those are good-sized dollars that would help you with the overall rate.
You'd have a better chance doing wastewater than you would.
But I'm just saying those are, I'm not saying do any of them. I'm saying, but when I'm saying thinking of there's the larger ones, and then there's some things that we could do that could help out as much as the punch card.
Yeah.
Those are the ones where would it help?
Some issues there with that stuff. You gotta look at that.
But I mean, there's the things like I do believe there's our new recreation committee is going to find ways to help offset some of the funding. And I believe that will be, whether it's selling hot dogs or doing a mini camp and charging for the mini camp to help offset some of those funds. I think all of the stuff and some of the things I read through the minutes from the revenue committee, it looked like they met like 3 different meetings, fairly compressed time. Got some great ideas, and then we let them set. Then we get busy, COVID, you name it. But a year later, we're looking at them saying, "Whoa, wait a minute! There's some things here that we should be looking at."
And we talked about a town-wide yard sale and have the park open for vendors.
Yeah, those.
That's a possibility. I mean, these should all bring. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it brings people to town, which are spending money at all these places, which are helping the businesses.
There's some of the things, like I'd be happy, you know, I'm always the one saying I want more money, revenue, but I'd be happy if we ran a carnival and we got enough money to pay for the carnival. It paid for itself. It didn't cost us thousands of dollars to do it. That to me, that's a win. So all of them don't necessarily take the overall tax rate down or the amount of taxes are paid, but it allows us sometimes to do some really neat things that we want to do, but we wonder about funding.
With that, as it relates to goal setting, I think we keep it a little more qualitative than quantitative, right? And so do we have ideas like, hey, create 3 new revenue streams or expand 3 new revenue streams over the course of the year, expand the tax base by X amount of homes over the next 5 years, you know, keeping our goals in that vein rather than let's reduce taxes. The burden will reduce if we're doing these things, but you know, like Bob said, if we set a number, we can get to a number by, you know, shaving some things that probably shouldn't be shaved.
In that frame, for instance, that will be part of the town plan, which will, one of the goals will be to expand the tax base. by housing, and then there will be another part of it that will, for business and your end of it, you know, like, so.
There's no
So that will be, that will be there.
I think there's room for some new houses
Oh,
and
yeah,
tax base, definitely.
yeah, and we're more apt to get houses than we are to get businesses, large businesses. Just the way it goes.
We still have a lot of property that is not making us a cent,
Well, I know.
a cent. We gotta start thinking about creative ways to have that property make us money.
Yeah.
We can raffle it away. There's a lot of property just sitting in the area on real estate websites. It's incredible to see. It's terrible.
Yeah, so in, where I grew up in Michigan, there was, the town I grew up in, when I was younger, it was pretty dumpy. You know, the busted up sidewalks, busted up streets, like worse than Scotch Hill, you know, ever could be. But the town started when these, you know, homes got foreclosed, homes got were burnt. The town started to take these properties, and then they would start giving them away. Even though there was taxes owed on them, it's like, we'll give this to you, but you have to build a house in 2 years. And I don't know if it's feasible here or not, but they weren't trying to make money, they were trying to put houses up. They didn't care about win or lose today, they were thinking about that house in 20 years. And today, it's a little Wyandott's booming, man. They have condos, and it's remarkable what they did.
Well, Virgins did along the same lines with their downtown. They had spaces that were open, just, so what they did is they gave them to anybody that had some sort of proposal. You could have 2 months. Mostly they were art galleries and things like that, but they worked. People saw the use of that. They came down to look, and then they went and had a sandwich, and they, you know, or the people that were in the art gallery decided, hey, this is working out for me, so they rented the space, and then the town moved to a different space. Here you have that space, and there is not open space in Virgins now, and it's a nice little community. And I think that's the same thing we could have. And one other thing they have is very skinny road through the middle of town.
Yes, they do.
And thinking the way you're working on the town plan now,
Mm-hmm.
and there's goals and there's
Yes.
actions from there, I wouldn't want us to jump too fast to put our goals down here till I got
Yeah.
I think a
Yep.
clear picture, so that at least we're going in the same direction.
Yep, and that's
And
fair.
it should be that our goals should
Yeah.
meet them, or we should change the goals in
Yes, and
the town
we're
plan.
more than open for any kind of input in that way.
Right.
Just,
And also, if
Go
I
ahead.
can chime in a
Yep.
little bit. I mean, I certainly believe that the town should work to develop every possible revenue stream possible, and you know, and that includes many of the concepts you all have suggested. You know, certainly it's time for us to think outside the box and see if we can get other forms of income. The one thing that concerns me is the idea that this will eventually lead to a cut in property tax rates. I think that really looking at this practically, we're looking for revenue streams that stabilize the property tax rates, because as we've learned this year, and I'm sure that all of you have learned in previous years, costs are going up, you know, are skyrocketing year after year, and I don't see an end to this. And so with that in mind, you know, I think that certainly what these revenue streams would be used for would be to compensate for the effect of these costs, to keep our property tax rates from having to go up. However, I think that I don't really see it as possible it will be able to cut property tax rates. I can tell you, being from Florida, which is a state that you know, looks for every opportunity to cut taxes, regardless of the effect on its citizens, I can tell you that when you start trying to cut taxes in a manner that is not supportable, and I don't really think it is here, then you're running into significant problems, and particularly you're running into situations where we may we may find out that the revenue is not enough to compensate for that. So I think before we go off, with this plan to cut taxes at some point in the future, I think that we need to take a very long, hard look at what we think, what we think these revenue streams as a practical matter could be, and B, how we expect our costs to go up in the near future. And that's, again, I would love just as much as anyone else to have a smaller tax bill every year. But I just don't, from the evidence I've seen thus far, I don't think that's possible.
That's kind of why I would like the more abstract. There are definitely things we can do to help revenue, and the 1% is the obvious first one to get to. But yeah, I kind of agree with you in that case. Fairhaven historically is in the top third per capita in taxes in the state of Vermont. I can't tell you why. It's not the services we provide, that's for sure. It's just we are. It's probably because there's not a lot of commercial tax base. It's all residential.
We've got, our property values are probably lower than many towns surrounding us, yet we still have to come up with the money for the same services these towns with higher property.
Exactly.
And so that's what I think the problem is. And again, I do agree there are ways we could make the town more attractive and get the property values to go up, but I mean, we have to be very, very practical, and we have to refrain from doing anything that may put us in another hole.
Yeah. I would like to continue having this discussion every meeting, and start nailing down some things that we can do. I mean, obviously, just past budget season, but we may be able to find something, water and sewer or something.
If I may, I recognize this isn't more of an advisory, we're requesting an advisory opinion here. What is the feeling amongst y'all about the 1% tax? Because my understanding is that it was never popular and has basically been dismissed every time it's come up. I mean, is there a feeling amongst us now that this may be time to put that tax, into effect?
Yeah, so historically, Jason, I think no one in the area wanted to be the first town to have an options tax, and there was no data to support what that would mean to towns. I do know, in speaking with, my voting friends in the area, not a lot of knowledge was put out there into the community about what it means, because we really didn't have that information. So when it comes to the options tax, if we were to move forward, I'd want to bring in an options tax expert to say, hey, I've run the numbers and this is what it could bring to Fairhaven, and understanding that X percentage of that that money would come from folks traveling through town, having the projected data kind of inform the voter this time around.
I think that was the problem before. The voters
Didn't understand it.
didn't really understand, and it was really hard to explain it then.
Well, the problem is, the bottom line is we've been trained since we were in kindergarten to hate taxes. So we're genetically opposed to taxes, and so anybody says tax, everybody freaks out.
It's natural to oppose taxes.
No, it's not natural.
Well,
You gotta pay for everything.
everybody has to pay, but you don't wanna pay more than your fair share, basically.
This helps. This
What?
one does help.
We pay the option tax. Every time you go over the state line, you pay an option tax.
Mhm.
Every time you go to Rowland, Killington, anywhere, you're paying,
Yeah.
okay?
Well, I mean, what are the potential, the potential items we could tax? I mean, I'm familiar with the cannabis option tax. But what else could we then apply that to?
We can't.
Meals and rooms,
Rooms, yeah, meals, rooms and meals, alcohol, some, you can't do fuel, you can't do clothing,
Sugary drinks,
sugary drinks,
and online purchases.
online purchase is a big deal.
That'd be
Yeah.
where the money came from.
The state of Vermont makes an arbitrary determination as to what comes in from Amazon every year. And if you've got a option tax, they make that, they just say, here's what your cut of that is, and they charge Amazon. That's a big deal. That's worth a lot of money.
But the state collects it, do they send it to the towns?
Not all of it. The option tax,
You're right,
they
I
get
understand that.
part of it. They
But
get
you
their
do
cut.
get part of it?
Oh, yeah,
The
absolutely.
state doesn't get it all?
No,
We get
No, they-
most of it. I think it's 70-30 split, is it?
something like that.
but it's,
But yeah, so you can, you can charge rooms and meals, you could charge, like, there'd be a 1% on both of the cannabis plant things we have, all that. The basic necessities of life, you can't add that 1% to.
right.
Fuel.
What about, Bob, what about cell phone service? Is that something that can
Very-
we get an option to?
That's a very good question, I don't know. That's a very good question.
Because I know that in Florida, most counties have and some cities have an option tax. It's very small, but it's something. It's something. The idea being we want to raise revenue from a source, that is not felt too dearly. Obviously,
Right.
If it's a small cell phone tax, most people aren't going to see that. Amazon, same thing. Very few people are going to notice the difference, and I highly doubt that people would stop ordering from Amazon to avoid the tax. So.
I know one person that wouldn't. Yeah, you're right. The Amazon is the big, the online purchasing is a big thing. I don't think that was well known at the time. And that changes a lot. That was estimated a very high number for us.
By the way, Bob, were you attempting to say that Amazon trucks would disappear from Dutton Avenue?
I know, I see them all the time.
Dutton Avenue and certainly South Main Street, they would be lost. They wouldn't know, they would probably still stop just out of habit.
Well, my main problem with them now is they're dropping things on my porch and they're freezing.
Welcome to Vermont. Yeah.
There
Nothing gets stolen here, it freezes.
It just freezes.
Yeah. Same thing. But anyways, let's not spend all day on this, but go ahead.
Good night, dear Mike. Thanks for coming in.
We'll see you.
Let me give you, I'll come up and talk to you about this.
See you tomorrow?
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, Roseanne.
I was just wondering, can you pick and choose with this option tax? So could we just say, yeah, we want to tax the Amazon?
No, you can't say, you can't pick and choose.
We don't want to do the rooms and meals.
No.
It's just one
Right.
across the board thing.
So room and meals would go from 10 to 11 in Fairhaven. Would be the difference.
Also, even if you buy it on Amazon, clothes is not taxable.
Right, but you know what they do, it's a very odd system, the way I understand it, and I could be wrong, I've been wrong before. But, once, yeah. But the state literally gets the gross receipts of whatever Amazon sold in Vermont, and they say X amount of that came from Fairhaven, and they send you a check less their cut, is the way I understand it works. So if you have a 1%.
So your fees wouldn't be taxed.
No, unless, they probably would be taxed on like the tractors and all the toys in the back there.
Oh, yeah,
But they wouldn't be taxed on the,
and the
clothing.
jewelry.
And the jewelry, yeah.
See, when that option, I wasn't involved with the board then, but I was a resident of Fairhaven. And the stuff that they sent around explained some of this, but then I got some stuff from the state that explained what they couldn't charge that for.
Right.
And there was a lot of stuff that they couldn't charge, and the rumor was that was going around wasn't true. None of that, a lot of that was not true.
Right.
Of course.
And that's why I think a lot of people voted it down.
Yeah, I think we, if we do this, we do it with all our ducks in a row, and we understand it much more.
Yep.
And that would be something for next March. But with a much better explanation, a much better hold on what would be and what wouldn't be, and what the expected receipts would be.
And would it be reasonable, like our Economic Development Committee, researching it,
Yes.
because, so that you have, I think
We
that's,
have the numbers, yes.
that's all.
And the
I'd be-
rules.
And for
Yeah.
getting some better information.
We've been on this for
Good.
40 minutes. I think we should,
Mhm.
I think we should move on, but I think we should have
It was a
this
good discussion.
and maybe get it a little more focused, but it's a good discussion. So we gotta move. Parking lot, anything jumping out there? You can take the zoning regs
That can
off.
come off, I see. Yeah.
And the
Is
town
tran-
plan is moving forward.
Is transfer station,
Transfer station operation, I talked to Eileen, she's getting numbers to replace our punch cards with dollar punch cards, so that way we're not losing that buck on every scale transaction. So that's gonna happen, that's easy, we can do that.
That's a good,
Just
good little
administratively.
fix, yeah.
Yeah.
and I think it was, they were the roll-off, we didn't have the certificate at that time, and we were doing some cleanup, but I'm just saying, we put it there so we'd focus, are we?
No, I think, I appreciate having that there so that way I can stay on task too. We're only about 50% of our dump stickers have been sold this year. And that should have been sold, they should have all been sold like months ago, so.
Right.
It's on me to make sure that our dump stickers are being sold like they should be, and people are coming in with stickers. And then operation, the way that place is set up is not conducive.
Okay, we'll leave it,
So, yeah.
that makes sense.
Yes, yes, it is not. Okay, I'm gonna move down. Town plan is still moving on. We've gone through the whole thing. We went through the last few pages of read through. We're gonna start cutting and pasting and putting back the numbers. We are still on target to get there by June.
Did you get the input from the Economic Development?
I haven't looked at it yet because I'm afraid of Google Docs, but I will.
I'll send you regular documentation.
You can have a Word document as well.
Yeah, I think I got
Okay.
it.
Yeah, because we put.
I haven't, but
Okay.
other people, everybody knows to look at it.
Mhm.
And it's gonna be, I'm gonna get to it before next meeting, for sure. But if you have a regular copy, like a real copy, like paper.
I'll print one.
Okay,
Me too.
yeah, local accomplishments, nothing, move on. Board roundtable.
I've said my piece about the ditching in the road and the shoulders and stuff, and I think that's important to keep that up. I will honestly say that I do wanna give a shout out to DPW, they're doing a good job for the experience.
For being
I'm sorry,
brand new.
I'm sorry I didn't show up though, that's amazing.
Yeah, I thought you had them hired. Yeah.
Seemed like a good egg in town.
I was disappointed.
Sure.
I'm curious, perhaps if we can ask Mike for additional information on injection costs and where we might find such injections for the ash trees that we're looking to preserve. I am particularly interested in retaining that tree at the softball field.
Yeah, that would be a shame.
Yeah. That's all I have.
I'm good.
All I would tell you is if you've got a copy of the state tax, the equalization study, it's this guy here. We are dangerously close or there on reappraisals. The CLA is 85% or 115. We are at 85.85. So we're actually technically there at that one. And we are at, I think it has to be the coefficient has to be 20. We're just over on that as well, 20.24. So, I think we should reach out and find out what that says. I mean, that's kind of awful close, and we should know.
I was at the school board meeting last night, and they were talking all about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The reappraisal and the CLA, and I would suggest that maybe somebody from this board get in contact with somebody from the school board and maybe coordinate.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's up to us.
Right,
It's our baby, and they can't dictate.
No, I'm just saying.
The state will dictate.
How it will affect both.
Well, it's, right, I understand that because I know, I think we're, Benson, Orwell, that are in our Slate Valley, they're all, but I agree with you, Bob, that if we check and see, did that trigger it, and if it did, so many towns need to do reappraisal. I don't even know if you could get one in a timely manner.
It's so close that I'm guessing they're gonna give you a little bit of
That-
wiggle room.
I get
Because that can
more-
go up and down
Exactly.
in a, just in a couple of sales.
My sense is they're gonna try to tell you that, hey, if you can wait, but if they want, the other thing is, because we'd have to go out and find out, get some bids, what's it gonna cost?
Yep.
There's a lot more.
Yeah, we've got 400 or so thousand.
There's a lot sitting there,
Yeah, but that's, believe me, that'll get eaten up quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know what the cost is now, but I don't know that 400,000 will do it.
Castleton just got a bid for $275,000 to
Well,
get
that's
their.
not bad. Well, then that's good news. Because
That was their
they're a lot bigger.
That was their reappraisal.
Wow, is that full reappraisal?
I don't know that.
Well, let's find out. I mean, we need to know. We need to know what the state's gonna tell us. And that's reasonable. Okay. Financial report.
Okay, it looks like payroll, there are two, so I'll make a motion to,
Wait a minute.
okay.
Got a lot of paper tonight. Go ahead.
Okay, first payroll is for 1/11/24. I'll make a motion to pay $715.58.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right. I'll make a motion to pay the payroll from 1/22/24 of $34,365.96.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Make a motion to pay the general warrant of $98,319.98.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Checkbook.
The checkbook status is $793,884.45.
Hey, Jason, I'm very sorry. I'm not used to you being not here. I didn't ask you if you had anything for a roundtable.
Oh, no, but thank you, Bob, I appreciate the thought, but no, I didn't.
Good. Just yell at me because sometimes I forget.
Actually, what I I saw you skip by it, I was like kind of relieved.
Well, it saved us 25 or 20% of our time.
Ready for a motion for?
Anything we can do to save time at this point.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session for real estate under VSA 313A2, and to also go in for personnel discussion, VSA 313A3.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye?